Good morning everyone. Again you are welcome, and we were discussing about the chapter The Man Who Knew Too Much. Explained you yesterday. Little bit was left. Now I am going to complete that. Is that clear? So these are the new words: sprawling, lying with arms and legs, trifle with, to play with or fool around with. These are the, we can say, word meanings. Understand? So what we have discussed, I am going to tell you again that private Cults was ready to get his commission, and for that he was working very hard. You know about that? Is that clear? Everybody knows. I have told you about this. And he also made some, you can say, some extraordinary also, we can say, things by getting strips also. He was working very hard to get the strips. And problem kya thi? What was the problem with him? That he always bothered the teachers asking him questions. Okay, एक्चुअली क्वेश्चंस पूछने चाहिए, लेकिन वो थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा वो हो गया था, वी कैन से और कॉन्फिडेंट में आ गया था, और उसने क्या किया, सार्जेंट को काफ़ी परेशान किया, टीचर को क्वेश्चन पूछ के. तो नाउ आई एम गोइंग टू टेल यू दैट इट वाज द एंट्री, or we can say, I also told you the aircraft recognition also, he was also brilliant in this. And now it is the entry of, we can say, entry of corporal Turnbull. एक आर्मी ऑफिसर जो होता है ना, that is the entry of man. So I am going to start from that. Okay, so one day they were sprawling का मतलब था taking rest, lying with arms and legs, एकदम से अच्छे से बैठे हुए थे, all the soldiers, and contentedly satisfied, they were satisfied on the warm grass while Corporal Turnbull was taking a lesson on hand grenade. Who was taking the lesson on hand grenade? Corporal Turnbull. He was a very dangerous type of man. I told you, strict officer tha wo. Corporal Turnbull was a young man, but he is not a man to be drifted, trifle, to be trifle, T-R-I-F-L-E-D. Got it? T-R-I-F-L-E-D, to play with or fool around with. यानी ऐसा बंदा जिसको कोई हल्के में नहीं ले सकता. He was this type of a man. Triple will. He had come back from Dunkirk, that is the place, with all his equipment correct and accounted for in his pad kit in his pocket, and he was also having his pad kit in his pocket. He was our hero, and we used to tell each other that he was so tough that you could hammer nails. इतना tough था that you could hammer nails into him without his noticing it. यानी he was too much tough. He was too much tough man, and you can he cannot we can say notice these type of things, and he was a very strict person. So यानी उसको कील भी घुसा दोगे तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. The outside of grenade, as you can see, that was the lecture going on. Who was teaching? Corporal Turnbull. You can see Corporal Turnbull was saying is divided up into a large number of fragments. Fragments means sections. He was explaining the chapter of grenade, and he was telling the we can say trainees that you can divide it in many sections. Okay, but he did not tell the exact section. ऐसा होता है, किताबी जो कीड़ा था वो क्या बोलते हैं उसको, प्रोफेसर, उसको सब कुछ पता था. To assess segmentation, segmentation का मतलब था broken parts, broken in parts. 44. Who talked? Same 44. What is that? The corporal look over his shoulders. Corporal ने कहा कौन बोला? Who said these words? 44 segment. The professor beamed at him. Beam means smile. ऐसी smile जैसे उसको थोड़ा सा उसकी disrespect करती हो. He was smiling at Corporal Turnbull. The corporal said nothing, but the man did not say to him anything else. But his brow tightened. लेकिन थोड़ा सा उसकी जो brows थी वो tight हो गई. He becomes a little bit angry. He opened his mouth to resume, and he did not speak a word, and he started to teach them. And by the way, Corporal, we were all thunderstruck Again, Private Culls speak. And what did he say? By the way, Corporal, and we are all means यहाँ पे all the trainees, the person who is telling us the story, thunderstruck, आश्चर्यचकित हो गए एकदम, surprised. The professor was speaking again. Who was speaking again? Professor. Shouldn't you have started off with the 5 characteristic of a grenade? यानी you should start from the 5 characteristic of grenade. यानी तुम्हारा जो chapter है, the lesson है, you should start like that. Our instructor at the other camp always used to, and you know what did he say? Other instructor used to teach us from the 5 fragments. You should also start from the same. In the silence that followed, a dark flush stained का मतलब था रंगा हुआ, tan of Corporal's face. Here, यानी उसको गुस्सा आ गया. Here, he said at last, उसने कहा, you give this lecture, as if afraid to say any more. He tossed the grenade to the professor. He threw the grenade toward the professor, and quite unabashed means बिना शर्मिंदा हुए, unashamed. Private Culls was not ashamed. He was unashamed. Private Culls climbed to his feet, and with the air of a man coming into the, we can say, birthright, like it is his birthright. यानी ऐसा जैसा कि उसका इस जन्म से अधिकार है, birthright, gave us an unexceptional, शानदार lecture on the grenade. Or Private Culls has given an exceptional lecture on the grenade, and he was also success in that also. Is that clear? He was also success, and he has delivered the lesson fluently without stopping himself. यानी Corporal Turnbull ने उसकी तरफ grenade फेंकी, threw the grenade, and he said you should teach, and Private Culls was ready for that, and he started his lesson. The squad listened in a subdued way. Everybody was listening. Horrified kind of silence. Everybody was silent because Corporal was a very strict person. उनको पता था कुछ न कुछ करेगा ये. Corporal stood and watched, impassive, except for a searching, intense of gaze. When the lecture was, we can see, finished, he said, "Thank you, Private Culls." It was a nice lecture given by Private Culls, and he also thanked him. Failing with others now, अभी दूसरों के साथ खड़े हो जाओ जाके. He did not speak again until we had fallen in and were waiting to be dismissed. And Corporal Turnbull did not say any word, and all the soldiers waiting that they are to be we can say dismissed. Then he addressed us. तभी Corporal Turnbull ने हमको क्या किया? Address किया. What did he say? As some of you may have heard, he began deliberately. The platoon officer has asked me to nominate one of you for. यानी Corporal Turnbull was saying to them that the platoon officer asked me to nominate, to give a duty from you all. He paused, वो रुका, and looked lingeringly, एकदम ढीलेपन से देखने लग गया इधर उधर. Up and down the ranks को चेक करने लग गया, as if seeking final confirmation of a decision. ऐसा लग रहा था that he was trying to make his final decision. He was looking at us. We were standing in the row and we were listening to him, and what he was saying that our platoon officer has ordered me that I should nominate one of you for the duty. But अभी duty के बारे में बताया नहीं. He was checking our ranks. We were stood there, ना? So this was the great moment. Most of us could not help glancing at Private Culls. Everybody was watching toward the Private Culls. You know why? Because Private Culls has given a brilliant lecture on grenade. So we were thinking that the duty will be given to him. Okay. And we were also thinking that he will be promoted. Okay. Who stood rigidly to attention and stared straight in front of him with an expression of self-conscious innocence. And Private Culls was standing in a queue, and he was, we can see, he was looking at in the eyes of Corporal Turnbull, and he was waiting like he was showing the consciousness and innocence also, because उसको तो नहीं पता था कि मुझे ड्यूटी मिलेगी, उसको यह एक्सपेक्ट था कि आई विल बी गिवन अ ड्यूटी, हो सकता है मेरा चांस हो, बट वो डिसिप्लिन बंदा था, एंड ही वाज आल्सो स्टैंडिंग एंड ही वाज आल्सो लुकिंग इनटू द आईज ऑफ कॉर्पोरल टर्नबॉल फॉर परमानेंट कुक हाउस ड्यूटीज, यानी रैंक नीचे डालने वाली कुक हाउस ड्यूटी देनी है। यानी कॉर्पोरल टर्नबॉल ने कहा कि आई एम गिविंग यू द परमानेंट कुक हाउस ड्यूटीज, I have decided that private cult is just the man for the job, and Corporal Turnbull has given this duty to private cults. Of course, it was a joke for the days afterward, a joke and joy to all of us. The writer is saying it was a joke for the days afterward, and a joke and joy. हमारे लिए भी joy था, enjoy था, क्यों? That we had get rid of प्राइवेट कल्स, हमारा उससे पीछा छूट गया, एंड ही वाज गिवन अ ड्यूटी इन द कुक हाउस, गॉट इट? सो दैट वाज द एंजॉय। ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट सेंटेंस है कि दे वर हाउ डिड ही से दैट वी वर एंजॉयिंग दैट मोमेंट, बिकॉज दे वर नॉट, वी कैन से मोर नियर टू प्राइवेट कल्स, वो ज़्यादा उसके पास नहीं थे, एंड दे वर गेटिंग रीड ऑफ प्राइवेट कल्स, दैट इज वाई। आई रिमेंबर दो, अभी क्या होता है, माई फ्रेंड ट्रोवर एंड आई वर टॉकिंग अबाउट इन द talking about it a few days later, बात कर रहे थे, we were returning from the canteen to our own hut, they were coming from canteen, है ना, they were अपने उसमें जा रहे थे कुछ बेस में। well, Trover remarked as we passed the cook house, and when we were passing the cook house, Trover said something to me, वही बात पीछे वाली, I reckoned the geezers, geezer means यहाँ पे होता है person, I reckon the geezers had his gob मतलब था मुंह, stopped for a bit, कह रहा कि यदि उसने उस अपना मुंह बंद कर लिया होता, किसने, प्राइवेट कल्स ने, तो उसके साथ ऐसा नहीं होता, he would not be given a duty in the cook house. Trover was telling this to writer, both were going, ordinary routine हो रहा था। I did not answer, मैंने आंसर नहीं दिया, I did not give any answer to Trover, but took his arm and pointed to the cook house. Then I took his arms and pointed toward the cook house. And who was in the cook house? Private cults. Through the open door, he could see that the three cooks standing against the wall as if at bay. And what did they see? They see through the open door, three cooks were standing in a line at a bay. Bay मतलब होता है निराशा, यानी तीन कुक वहाँ पे खड़े थे, they were standing in a queue, and they were all we can say helpless, they were baying, and from within came a monotonous मतलब जो अच्छी नहीं लगती हो, नीरस, that is not good, okay, monotonous beat of familiar voice, and we had listened, somebody was ordering, we can say commanding them, and that was a familiar voice, and whose familiar voice was it was the familiar voice of private cults. Why it was familiar voice? Because you know, because they were known to each other, और जानते थे, और they can we can say they were in the habit of private cults voice. That is why they were saying that familiar voice. And what private cults was doing? Really, who was speaking? I must protest against. Private cults was speaking to the three cooks. I must protest against this abnormally, यानी घृणित, unscientific and unhygienic method of peeling potatoes. What they were doing? They were peeling the potatoes, and you know potatoes जो है उसको, and कह रहा है कि this is not a good way to peel the potatoes. Okay, this is unhygienic and unscientific. I need only draw your attention to the sheer मतलब पूरी तरह से waste of vitamin values. What did he say? कि he was we can say commanding the cooks, and कह रहा है कि you are wasting all the vitamins as you are peeling the potatoes, okay ना, तो तुम सारे vitamins को नष्ट कर रहे हो, and this is not good way, I will tell you. ऐसा सुना, and we fled, और हम भाग गए. The writer said it was a familiar voice and we had run away from that place. Okay, why? Because अपनी आदत नहीं छोड़ी, he did not given up his habit. He was also doing the same thing as he was doing earlier. यानी अभी उनको लेक्चर देना शुरू हो गया. ओके, सो माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, इट वाज द चैप्टर, गॉट इट, and we have completed that. The story also, we can say, everything was completed. Is that clear, everybody? So what we have discussed in this story, that main characters, Corporal Turnbull, private cults. I have explained you, he was looking like a professor. Kyun? Because his, we can say, having a spectacles, stooping, lanky type of person. Okay, very thin, understand, and too much long also, but not too much. And that was the personality of private cults, was like a professor, and he was also having a habit of reading the books. And during the night, late at night, he used to read the books. And what he wanted to get only only commission in the army, and that is why he was working very hard. लेकिन एक गलत बात थी उसमें, that he always badgered the instructor, asking them questions पूछ के उनको परेशान करता था. And one thing more about him, that not he was intelligent, absolutely, but you know what, he publicly correct them. ये भी गलत है. We should not correct a person publicly. अगर हम पब्लिकली करेंगे तो वो कहे, वो सोचेगा अगले वाला कि ये मेरी गलतियों को हाईलाइट कर रहा, लोगों को बता रहा है. तो वी शुड नॉट करेक्ट द पीपल पब्लिकली. इफ दे आर मेकिंग मिस्टेक्स, if they are in wrong way, then we should tell them in a private, we can say, place, or we can tell them privately. Got it? So ये मिस्टेक्स थी, सार्जेंट को परेशान किया. एंड 3-4 बार मैंने बता दिया तुम लोगों को, एयरक्राफ्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कितना शानदार बंदा था, कितना नॉलेज था उसके पास, बिना देखे ही बता देता था कौन सा एयरक्राफ्ट है. एंड मोस्ट चेंजिंग, वी कैन से अनप्लीजेंट टाइम वाज व्हेन कॉर्पोरल टर्नबल केम. अभी कॉर्पोरल टर्नबल को भी बिना जाने पूछे उसने क्वेश्चंस डाल दिए कि 44 सेगमेंट्स. कॉर्पोरल टर्नबल यहाँ पे गलत नहीं था, उसने कहा कि मैनी सेगमेंट्स, तो ये अंडरस्टूड होता है, but he corrected him by saying that 44 segments. यानी किताबी कीड़ा जो रटाफिकेशन करते हैं ना, this type of man he was. Okay, then Corporal Turnbull did not say anything to him, and he tossed the grenade towards him, and he was giving we can say exceptional lecture on that grenade. And after that, what happens? He has given a cookhouse duty. Is that clear, everybody? And duty भी किस तरीके से दी? That my platoon officer had asked me to nominate one of you, and everybody was looking towards private cults. Got it? And private cults was also, like an innocent person was standing there. उसको पता ही नहीं था कि मेरे साथ ऐसा हो जाएगा. And at last he said that I am giving cook house duty to private cults. और जब उस private cults ने अपनी habit, he did not change his bad habit, and he was also doing the same thing in the kitchen, we can say, cook house. He was, we can say, rebuking the 3 cooks, and he was telling them to how to peel the potatoes, etc. So my dear children, that was a chapter. Wait for a while, I am coming, I am giving some questions to you. Now questions, I will give you questions as a homework to you. Okay, I will send the questions in our WhatsApp group, understand? So any queries, any inquiry about that? I hope you understood that. If you are unable to understand, then you can WhatsApp me. Got it? You can call me, you can ask any questions related to this chapter. Everybody, thank you very much.